And we are live once again. Minute late this time, it seems.
Unacceptable, I would say. Hello, good morning, good day, and all the other little things that's happening.
Good morning for me, and it's nice to be back. We have a lot of CS:GO once again.
But CS:GO is a pretty good game.
Yeah, apparently it is.
Yeah, and it's a bit different this time because there is no EPL NA or Flashpoint played yesterday or today either. So we can talk about a bit more about CS with a different kind of topic.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and so. Oh, wait a second. There's nothing. Okay. I thought I got an update on something else. We had some EPL EU played yesterday. Let's speak about that first. Then we will talk about this tournament called HomeSweetHome. And after that, it's LCS time. So some League of Legends Axareno. To start our talks about EPL EU, we had 3 best of 3 series yesterday. First we had Astralis going against Fnatic, then Navi going against OG, and FaZe Clan facing Mousesports. We started the day yesterday with Astralis and Fnatic, and to a small surprise, after a very tight series, the Swedes won the Danes.
Yeah, I think honestly this was quite a big surprise. I wouldn't call it like a small surprise even. Look like strictly looking at odds, I think Astralis was about 135, 1.4 or so, and honestly this is a big result for Fnatic, but I'm not that surprised. I would favor Astralis as the odds did too, but Fnatic has played well this far, and I think Astralis has been quite up and down, but they are still looking much better than the first few rounds of the group stages. So I don't know. It's an interesting series, as you said, very very close. But I think especially, or it's this is tough because this is always the case with Fnatic. Different people step up all the time. I think Brolin's been great lately. I think JW has his maps. Flusha does as well. Then we have Crims and Golden. They also, it's almost like every single map they play, it feels like somebody takes the reins and just goes with it, And I guess it's a good sign, but I still feel like Fnatic can, get all 5 going. Then they will be extremely good. But this is a great win for Fnatic, no doubt about that. I mean, I think at this point, Fnatic has won, I know, at least 4 series out of the last 5. They won 2-1, and then they have 1 loss against Navi. So great for Fnatic, but they still, they grind out these wins. They never win easy series, I feel, almost, which is
Yeah, but it's kind of one of those things that when you're looking for consistency is that if you can challenge the big ones and you can get the big wins, but then kind of maybe you exhaust yourself a little bit and you're a bit kind of you don't show enough respect for the kind of lower tier teams that can still upset you, and therefore they do upset you. So maybe it's a thing that after all the Fnatic lineup is still relatively new with the current setup. So the fact that they can beat Astralis is a very good sign. They just need to find their consistency to be able to beat the lower tier teams to kind of stay on the top and being able to win these kind of things.
I can agree with something like that, but I don't know. I think this lineup, we didn't believe in it, and most people didn't believe in it, and they have done great. Like honestly, their results are really, really good. Even one major factor they weren't higher on the rankings is that they skipped a lot of tournaments that other teams didn't. So this team has been really, really good. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I just feel like they can be even better. That's the thing. It's kind of crazy actually how good this is going for Fnatic.
Yeah, they definitely haven't peaked yet.
It's great. I mean, they start. This is their second win, and honestly, I think looking at this quite realistically, I really can't see a way for Fnatic not to go to the play or move forward from this, because 2 wins in the first 2 games, and they have what, OG, Mouse, and Navi left. I mean, I'm fairly certain they will win one of those, right? So
Yeah.
this is looking really great. Actually, at this point, I guess you could even put them as a favorite to win the group, actually, which is that would be quite a statement, to say the least.
Yeah.
But I think all of us were predicting Fnatic to go forward from the group, so it's not that big of an upset that they win here.
For me, it's a kind of, honestly, I'll be honest. Before the group stage started, I would have said it's kind of a 50-50 situation. I would rank at least 1 or 2 teams higher than Fnatic, and then it's like a race between basically FaZe, Fnatic, maybe like Astralis, Navi. There's so many. These are really close teams, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be that certain, but it's fun to see, and especially, I mean, I like the Swedish teams for obvious reasons, and I like what I'm seeing. This is great.
Yeah, just to my internet is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, we hear that.
Yeah, so it might just be that I might have to even drop out. I don't know what's going on. We upgraded from, we had a 250 fiber. We are upgrading it to 1 gigabyte fiber, and it seems like it's only getting worse. So I don't know what we're paying for, but yeah. The next matchup yesterday was between Navi and OG. No, but it wasn't a run through.
Definitely not. OG had a actually really good chance to win this. They obviously on Inferno, which absolutely seems to be a great map for OG. Like at this point, I give them credit where credit is due. Inferno, they are super good on it, and then Overpass. Like honestly, it felt like OG was running away with it because they started really well. They won their CT side 9-6. I think at some point, and this is, I'm just pulling this out, I don't have the stats up. I think they even could have gone bigger lead there, like 10-5 or even 11-4. They played really well. But then again, Navi played an amazing CT side themselves, and eventually they won it. But I really thought this would be a 2-0 at some point in that Overpass game, and Dust 2, I mean, everybody, like, I'm not kidding, everybody was sure, Dust 2 is Navi's map, end of story. But OG has shown already many times that they are extremely good on Dust 2 as well, especially the T side. Navi is obviously, or I would say they are probably the best T-sided team on Dust 2. So they won 11-4, and it looked really over. But OG grinded and grinded their way back. And honestly, it felt like they should have even won it. They looked super dominant on their T side. Then eventually 14-13 to Navi. And if I remember correctly, there was at least one round where Navi was kind of on a force buy and OG lost to it. Actually, that round, I now remember, that round at 14-13, they rushed B and they all just imploded and died. It was actually a pretty bad tactic, especially since they'd done other things in the game that worked out perfectly. I don't really see why they did that, but either way, Navi closed it out and won. It was a good performance, I suppose, by Navi, and like Simple is plus 26 over the series, and it feels like Simple didn't show up because the expectations we have for him are crazy. But with that said, honestly, this series could have gone either way because Overpass and Dust 2 OG had all the chances in the world to win both of them. Very good showing by OG, more than I expected, that's for sure.
Yeah, looking stats, the Pumpla didn't really show up in the server this game. Minus 30 with 51 ADR.
That's actually crazy. It's not often you see minus 30.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I didn't even pay attention to that. But I just want to say, I think Boomic has been amazingly good this year, but this is definitely not where he usually is. But then again, Navi wins the series and he's minus 30. That also tells you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the simple factor, you can say. I mean, on Overpass, OG's one of the problems was that NBK and Nissa were missing a lot of shots, which kind of, and you have Electronic who aren't missing anything, and then like in Dust 2, you know, Simple and Perfecto doing Simple and Perfecto things, and then you know, one bad call that kind of ends up losing. So, but it's a very positive result for OG, nevertheless.
Yeah.
Very positive.
I think so. I definitely, realistically, OG shouldn't go to the playoffs. I understand they have a chance, of course, but this is still good. Like this is definitely a step forward. They've been walking along the path all the way here, but this is very good. I also want to mention, I think, we look at stats quite a bit, and Electronic is not the most impressive here, especially on Dust 2. His stats are not that great. He's got 19 kills, 19 deaths, but I really think Electronic is the key player that makes Navi's Dust 2 so good. I don't know, like if the Krieg gets nerfed, which it should, maybe we'll see something change, because that man with the Krieg is, I don't know, the entries are insane. I don't know how he does it, honestly.
Well, funnily enough, I played my first Counter-Strike games in a while last weekend, and I didn't even like realize how fucking ridiculous the Krieg is at the moment. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense that T's have two weapons that is one-shot kill, like with the headshot. You have the AK, now you have the Krieg, and with the Krieg, with the scope even, like it's
Well,
I think it's a
not
very
fan.
no, I think it's a very unfair setup at the moment, because the T weapons are cheaper and they are better. So I don't know. Something really needs to be done to it. I don't know why Valve lets this kind of go on and on and on, because it makes every single map T-sided because of the weapon difference.
Yeah.
Well, I think. Sorry, Mika. I'm just gonna put this in. I think one thing that is almost a bigger problem with the Krieg sometimes is when the CTs pick the Kriegs up. That's what I see as the big fucking issue, because when you have 5 or 4 players on the CT side with a Krieg, well, then you have a fucking circus going.
Yeah, I was just saying the same thing. I think it was Astralis maybe that has stopped buying Greeks in T side because they don't want to give them to CT side, so they don't buy Greeks at all, like zero, because they don't want it to be dropped out.
I'm pretty sure something is fucking wrong when you don't buy strong weapons because you don't want to give them to the other side.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
I think we have a problem.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Astralis who did that yesterday.
This has happened actually. This has definitely happened for several teams. I've seen a lot of overtimes where people don't buy Kriegs, even though it's clearly the better choice, but they just don't want to give them up,
Yeah.
And it's definitely too strong. I'm pretty sure we'll see a change soon. I mean, this has been on the table for a long time already. Yeah, I think it's gonna get the AUG treatment. The AUG was clearly too good about 1 year ago, actually, exactly, and now it's the situation with the Krieg.
Yeah.
Then obviously people argue, the Krieg has been the same for blah blah blah, which is true, but people didn't use it. People use it now. It's we have to adapt to the situation, and it's clearly too good. But yeah, that's still where we are. So
yeah. Then looking at the last series of yesterday, it was FaZe Clan against Mousesports, and Mousesports took the series 2-1. So yesterday, all the 3 series went to deciders.
Yeah, there's a reason this series ended probably at like 1, 2 a.m. So yeah, there's that. But this is actually a very interesting series. So let's kick it off with the first map. Mousesports wins Nuke 16-4. Mind you, this is FaZe's pick. And I have no idea what happened, because FaZe are really good on Nuke. They have shown that several times. Mousesports is not a bad new team by any means, but this was insane. I did watch this map. I didn't watch the two other ones actually. So Mousesports CT side looked really strong, but FaZe also looked kind of lost. I'm not really sure what happened there. But then FaZe comes back and wins Train quite decisively, and then we end up on Dust 2 as the decider again here. And I think both of these teams are fairly good on Dust 2, so that should have been a very interesting match. As I said, I didn't watch it, so I can't really speak for it, but it's kind of interesting actually looking at it that Mousesports turned this game around on the CT side. They won 10 out of 13 CT rounds, which is definitely quite interesting. I guess they had their hands on a lot of creep. But also, want to make one little point here. I was going to bring this up yesterday, actually. So this matchup is obviously quite interesting because it's Kerrigan against his old teammates in FaZe. And if I might be incorrect, but I think before this game, Mousesports beat FaZe in 5 best of 3s in a row. It's something with Kerrigan playing his old teammates is definitely a recipe for disaster, apparently. I'm not sure. I think this was the 6th. It was at least the 5th in a row where Kerrigan beats FaZe since he left them. And that's very noteworthy in my opinion.
That's actually very interesting statistic.
Yeah, it's getting quite crazy at this point. Because, I mean, at some point here, FaZe was a weaker team and Mousesports was a stronger team. They had a very good run. But I think at this point we have to give both of these teams credit for being very, very strong. And, well, Kerrigan apparently reads the brains of his old teammates.
So if you ever played with Kerrigan, don't play against him because you're going to lose.
Yeah, I think I saw a meme about this one time. If Kerrigan goes the whole round, you know, so he's been in every single team, then nobody can beat him anymore. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's pretty good. So from Kerrigan to today's games.
Wait. I have to say something. I just saw this, so like I said, I was not very involved in this series because it was so late. Wait a second, is this actually true? So 3 maps, and Olof has 28 kills? Whoa,
Yeah.
dude.
Wait,
What the fuck? That is shockingly low. Yeah, he had 10 on Nuke, 8 on the map 2, and last map he had 10 again. Wow, that's actually a very, very bad series for all of my...
47.8 ADR.
Yeah, unacceptable, sorry.
Oh boy. Olof Meister is no longer Meister, it's only Olof.
That's tough, definitely. Not good enough. Without even looking at the games, but that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Rip Meister, we could say from now on. Until further notice.
We'll change it as soon as he's back, so don't worry.
Oh, you think he will be back?
Of course. No, actually, I don't. I don't think, you know, we won't see best player in the world, Olof. That's for sure.
Well, no, I wasn't expecting us to see the best player in the world, Olof. No, not in a million years, but... Okay, out of Olof to today's games, or do you still want to go back at something?
No, let's look at today. Very good games upcoming.
We're starting the day with OG going against Fnatic, and I actually think this is going to be a very interesting game. Fnatic is the favor quite heavily in odds, 1.4, 1.5, and for OG you can get 2.7, even up to 2.9 actually. It is safe to say that Fnatic is a favorite, and they should be able to close this game out. But I do think that OG has a fighting chance if they continue in the same way that they've played so far.
I mean, thing is, I agree. I think this might be the two teams I underrate the most, because I haven't been that hard on Fnatic as other people has. but they have definitely shown that I am wrong because they have won pretty much every single series lately. OG, obviously, we have talked about them a lot, so I will skip that kind of, but they are doing fairly well. But the thing is, you still have to look at them losing 4 out of their last 5 series. And as good as Fnatic is looking, I think they should be a massive favorite. And honestly, when you can get 1.5 plus, that's not being that heavily favored after all. I think Fnatic should be a 1.3, 1.4 favorite. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I was going to say that I've been in OG hype train for the whole time, you know that, but I still think Fnatic should be more favorite than the odds seem right now. I think it's 1.2 favorite for Fnatic.
Yeah, for me it's a little bit hard because not, like I have to change my mind because if this was, let's say, after 3 rounds in the group stages when OG showed their best side, or at least one series, I still think they have played well after, even though the losses. I would definitely have said that this is a very close one and slightly Fnatic favored, but starting to look at it now, Fnatic is on the rise. They have gotten better and better. They started slow. OG, to me, is actually the other way around. They started super hot, and I think that's because other teams were a little bit weaker. But then they have dropped off because, I mean, objectively looking at it, 4 out of 5 games are losses lately. And even though they played well in them, they are still losses. And you have to look at it at that way sometimes. And yeah, definitely, Fnatic should be a big favorite. I think 1.5 times the money actually is pretty good on Fnatic.
But then again, because I do get your point, and I do agree that losses are losses, but at the same time, every single day, we speak about it, that even though OG is losing, they are not losing in a dominant fashion. They are fighting for these games, and it's very close. If it, like, think about, like, so I'll kind of rewind us back 15 minutes and then come back here. So we just spoke about OG versus Navi and how close they were to owing them, and then losing in a somewhat tight fashion to Navi, which is arguably, if not the best, then one of the best teams in the world, right? And OG are on the rise. So even though they are losing to the best teams in the world, and they are not losing by being crushed. They're losing
Sure.
tightly. So even though Fnatic is on the rise, even though OG has lost 4 of their last series, they haven't lost to shit teams. They've lost to the best ones, and
Yeah,
they still fought for it.
but
So
they are
I
not
think
playing a shit team today.
Yeah, I think
So-
Fnatic is way better than Navi right now.
yes, definitely they're not playing against a shit team, but I do think that OG deserves the respect that they're getting now in terms of what we're looking
Well,
at odds-wise even.
I think like this, right? So out of the losses OG has, only one of them was a stomp, and that was the FaZe game. They got absolutely demolished. OG was absolutely sleeping that day, and Fnatic and FaZe apparently. FaZe was definitely playing super hot in that series, but I still think that the losses that OG has, mouse boards. Let's forget about the Virtus Pro one. I don't care about that one. But if you look at the Mouse and Navi losses, I think they are close. That's true. But OG still loses to their own mistakes that they have not fixed. For an example, I think both the Overpass and Dust 2 against Navi, the reason they lost was really big mistakes. They like fundamental strategic misses that they can probably work on, but they are just not strong enough right now. And I think a team as good and as in good form like Fnatic will exploit that. Obviously, I'm not saying that OG has no chance, but I think more realistically, maybe they have like a 1 in 4, 1 in 5 chance to win this. Because they might have a really good day and Fnatic might have off day. Who the fuck knows, right? But I don't think that's like more than a 30% chance, if I put it like that. So
Yep.
Okay.
chances are there, of course, but I think the odds are fairly close to what they should be. But I think if you can get more than 1.5, I would go for it.
Yeah, and in my opinion, OG has played very well tactically, and they've been very good against the teams that has problems with that. And I think like teams like Navi has been a little bit lost lately, and they've done like they are giving the firepower, but maybe not the tactical geniuses right now. And I think Fnatic is a team that can play very well in tactical perspective, and I think that's where OG is gonna struggle because they are going to play team which has the same like good qualities than OG has, and Fnatic is doing it better than OG.
So I wanted to say this actually yesterday. I forgot to say or talk about this point that I want to make about OG. I'll try to keep it short. I think there's a lot of similarities, and I said this already when OG was formed. It feels like there's a lot of similarities between ENCE when they were good and this OG.
Yep.
And the thing is, they play really good fundamental CS. They have good tactics. They are not perfected yet, so they can still get better. That's one thing. But they can exploit teams that don't play good,
Yep.
you know. But they just don't have the firepower to be the best. And I'm just gonna say it, this team can never be the best because they don't have that peak. That's my opinion. However, they are very good at exploiting teams. Like Mika said, Navi is a great example of it. Sometimes they play without tactics. They just go and pop heads, and they can exploit that. Yesterday, okay, it was close, and they did exploit some of that. I think they're really, really good at that. But when they play really, solid teams, like let's say the best version of Astralis, when they have firepower and stone cold solid tactics, they can't beat that.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure of that.
Yep.
And I think Fnatic right now is that, But everything can happen. But I think that's a good analysis at least, and gives a good basis to understand how this game should.
Yep.
I mean, I do get your point, and to a certain extent, I do agree. I've been speaking about this beforehand, even in this podcast actually, that there are a lot of similarities with ENCE and OG, like the year ago ENCE and the
Yep.
current OG, and I do still think that it's a big part of it is the LXB factor.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Yeah, sure.
but yeah, and at the same time, even though we are giving shit to Navi that they haven't been themselves and whatnot, but still they won their last 5 series, and they've played against teams such as OG is not that big, but then there's Astralis and Fnatic.
Wait, what were you talking about now? About
Navi.
Yeah. No. Navi has been looking great, of course. I'm not saying anything about that, but I do think that, for an example, I think OG has a better chance to win against Navi than they have against Astralis. Like Astralis are a little bit too up and down right now, but to bring you some kind of example, I think Navi, obviously this Navi right now is much, much better strategically than Navi was a few months ago. This Navi is actually looking much, much better, but I still think they are relying more on firepower, and that's something OG can exploit. I don't think Fnatic is not relying that much on firepower. Fnatic is actually, I think actually Fnatic don't get the credit they deserve for actually being a very strategically good team, because these players, this is not simple electronic or whoever. This is actually a team of kind of average good players, in my opinion. They don't really have the superstar power actually. I honestly I've never even thought about it really, but it's kind of what it is.
Yeah. In my eyes, Fnatic is just better version of OG right now. Like in most of the cases, and I think Fnatic is more consistent, and it has a little bit more finessed the tactical parts of their game.
Sure.
So I think that's why I don't like this opponent for OG. I think OG is very good, and it has really good odds to win against some of the teams in this group. But I think Fnatic is the hardest one for them to face, or maybe Mousesports, because Mousesports is so hot right now. But I think Fnatic is one of the most hardest teams for OG to win.
I just want to make one small point. because I talked about the OGN's, comparison, and I really think, and this is something that we discussed quite early on, I really think that this OG, since they are quite similar in what they have and what, fundamentally they are kind of the same, as the structure is the same, but I want to add that I really think that this OG can be better than that ends playing the same way. Because I do think there is more talent and more firepower behind it, even though I don't think it's world-class level, and it might never be. But I still think this OG team, as much as they are similar to ENCE, they can actually become better than the best version of.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So then, let's go over this Mousesports Navi matchup quickly, and then the other one. Mousesports odds 1.8, 1.9, Navi 1.7 to 1.9. Quite even on paper, which is quite safe in my opinion. This could go either way. I do personally expect that Navi will win this, but I think it's gonna go to 3 maps.
So I have a really hard time deciding here. This is actually pretty crazy. Both of these teams have won 5 series in a row, by the way. Maybe even more. I can see 5 though. Yeah. But most sports started so badly that sometimes deep in my head I still have that in there. But I think at this point, most sports are looking as the best team potentially here.
Agreed.
No, I have to favor Mousesports. I don't think Navi, their wins are shakier, and I think they have relied on other people making mistakes, like OG. Astralis as well didn't look too good. Now, I'm gonna go with it. I think Mousesports should be a 1.7 favorite here, and they are a little bit less so.
Yep, I actually was going to say the same, and I will definitely go and bet some money for Mousesports here.
Yeah, with that said, obviously it's close. I mean, if Navi has a good... Because Navi is just that team. If they have a good day, they can fucking smash Mousesports, you know?
Yeah.
But I just think on average, Mousesports should have this more than 50% of the time at least.
Yeah. If these teams are both playing like they normally do, Mousesports will win this. But if both of the teams are having their good day, then Navi will win this, because Navi's good day is much better than Mousesports' good day.
Yeah, I think, Katowice comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
Navi on every team on their best day, Navi is just the best team in the world. And it's not even close, honestly. Maybe Astralis on their absolute peak can have something to say, but yeah, okay. That's it for today's games. It's gonna be interesting.
There's one more.
There's one more. FaZe and Astralis.
Fuck. We are so slow. How was that already talk for so long?
Okay, FaZe Astralis quickly. Odds for Astralis 1.4, 1.6, up to 1.7 even. FaZe Clan 2.4, 2.5. Astralis is the favorite going in, and if I am being completely honest, I don't think FaZe Clan, even though... No, FaZe Clan won't even get a map here. It's 2-0 for Astralis. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I have no idea why I keep on believing in FaZe.
Did you look the FaZe map pick yesterday?
Did you look all of Meister stats?
Yeah.
They get
Hello.
4 rounds in their map pick.
Yeah, but the problem is Astralis has not been good.
Yeah, but
in my opinion,
neither has FaZe.
Well, maybe. Fuck, this is hard. Okay, so, because the issue I have here is that Astralis started really badly. They won against ENCE and Spirit, but I wasn't impressed. Then they had a win against Vitality, where I also thought they were pretty fucking lackluster. Then they have lost to Navi and Fnatic, but Navi and Fnatic are good. And it was close. Okay, fuck it. I'm just gonna go against the wind here, and I'm just gonna say FaZe is gonna win this. I'm sorry, boys.
Oh shit, that's a bold
statement. FaZe is going to win this?
Yes.
Okay, everybody bet on Astralis.
What have you been smoking, bro? That's like I don't know about that.
I'm gonna say this much. I am pretty certain that this will go to 3 maps. I think FaZe is for sure gonna win 1 map, and honestly, I honestly believe that FaZe right now is a better team than Astralis. I have no idea why, but I actually.
All right.
Okay.
I definitely don't think that, but
Okay. Moving on. Janne will be wrong, and that's his
yes.
thing.
But somebody
that's
will be wrong, and we will have discussion tomorrow about that.
Maybe I want to secure so somebody's happy.
So next up is something new, which is called HomeSweetHome. Funnily enough, and we can bring something up from our own website. Woo! So first of all, we can say that this is our first partnership with an event. We are sponsoring Home Sweet Home. We're part of esports ecosystem now.
Amazing. Clap, clap.
Yeah, that's actually pretty big, because
I
we want to be part of these big tournaments and big teams and big events, and this is start for us.
Yeah. So the tournament starts today. It runs for 8 weeks. We have 16 teams at the moment, and there might be some changes in the teams. But for week 1, the teams are as follows. We have Ego, Big, Endpoint Force, Gambit Youngsters, Yapaleno, Movistar Riders, Nordavind, North, Skade, Smash, Sprout, Simon, Singularity, Spirit, and Virtus Pro. Safe to say, not tier 1 teams, but a lot of teams that has surprised bigger names before. Force especially, we've seen a lot of good games from them. In EPL, they surprised Na'Vi, for example. Then we have Team Spirit, who's been kind of doing similar things, surprising bigger teams. Virtus Pro, getting back in there. Definitely a lot of great Counter-Strike. The prize pool is 40k per week. It's distributed between the first and the second place teams. First one taking 30k and the second 10. Still some uncertainty on how the week basis will run, but in a way it's going to be, we have like 4 groups every week, and they play in the GSL double elimination format, and playoffs are single elimination. And the tournament is actually live now, I think.
It is indeed, and it's actually really funny because we have Smash and Spirit playing in the first game, and Spirit, very understandably, was a heavy favorite.
Spirit
and
is
Smash
getting
is
smashed!
up 12-2.
Let's go!
Thanks for the Spirit boost, man. So. What was I gonna say? Okay, so this is pretty cool, I think, because we will have, like you said, this is obviously not the best teams in the world, but I think we have quite a few teams that are interesting and who look to join the top of the crop, or whatever you say, like Big, Force, Spirit, North. I think all of those, and Virtus Pro, obviously, they all have ambitions to be top 10 teams. And right now they are a little bit behind that, and they need to pick their shit up. And apparently, Spirit is not one of the teams that are gonna do that, by the looks of it. So, I think an interesting format as well as it looks. We will have these games, go from Thursday or Tuesday to Sunday every week. So that guarantees a lot of CS:GO out there, and that's always.
Yeah, it seems that ID's balance is having 37.9 ADR right now. So.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Marvelous job.
Marvelous.
Yeah, well, looking tough for them. Actually funny that Disco Dopplen, the old NIP prospect who we haven't seen for a while, is the one smashing it this game. So, hey, Sweden.
Tjenare. Okay. So we have another series today between Big and Simon. It's a best of 1. Obviously, Spirit is getting smashed, so not that much to say about it. But in about an hour, we have Big going against Simon. Simon is a bit of a newer name team, but we have familiar names in there, especially Mo from who was who played for Gambit beforehand, and he's actually won a major.
He's the major winner.
It's the major winner. Big is obviously going in as a favorite, but yes, Janne, please tell me.
I was thinking, is he the only major winner here? But he's probably not actually. So, but yeah, okay. I'm just rambling, and I'm in my own world here. But yeah, definitely. I mean, Big is obviously a big favorite in this game. Yes, worth mentioning as well that these. Actually, not on purpose, but worth mentioning is that these opening games are played best of one.
Yes. Yeah, I was just going to say that the openers of the group stage are best of ones, but every game after that is best of three, and they are playing the groups as GSL, and 2 best teams will go through, and the playoffs will be single elimination bracket.
Yeah. So, we know that Godsend was supposed to be there. Unfortunately, they had to drop out for unknown reasons at the current state, but we might see them in the later stages. Obviously, you can then argue that as soon as EPL ends, which is going to be in a week, we might see some of the bigger teams joining in for HomeSweetHome too. But yeah, there's going to be 8 weeks of Counter-Strike. Every week is a new week because every week we reset. So in a way, it's going to be kind of like mini tournaments, which I kind of like. It reminds me of being a little kid and playing Pokemon Stadium on Nintendo 64 and all those mini games. It's kind of fun. So you can kind of compete. Every week is a new competition and brings new things and that and
actually, it seems the whole Group A is played today, so it's gonna be played all the winners match, elimination match, and deciding match.
That's how it is, yes.
Yeah,
each group plays in one day, and then we go later on down the line. We go to the playoff on
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay,
right.
Saturday, Sunday is the playoff days, and other than that, it's 1 day per group. Yeah, so it's a lot of Counter-Strike actually. You know, for.
Yeah, so it's 5 matches today, not 2.
Oh, right. Am I retarded?
Well, I don't want to answer because I want to keep my job. But so it's pretty cool. I like the format in itself, like each week,
I
right?
am retarded. Yeah, now I understand. I can only see 2 games now on the list because the other 2 games we don't know what they're going to be. Yes. But yes, there's gonna be the winner matches and the loser matches later on.
But it's gonna be a shitload of CS:GO because those are best of 3s. So we are having 3 best of 3 series after these 2 best of 1s. So
I would assume this will start at 12 every day, and I would guess that the last game usually would be played around midnight. So we have solid 12 hours of Counter-Strike pretty much every day.
Yeah. The schedule is that it will start at 11 p.m. at Malta time, but you never know how the schedule will go.
Yeah, definitely. Also, okay, I don't know where you want to head with this, Teemu. I really want to talk about some of the interesting points with some of these teams, however.
Yes, you can speak about whatever you want. If you want to talk about the toenails, please.
No, okay, I'm not gonna do that. But
nice.
I think like we said, there's obviously a few teams here who have ambitions to be top 10 or around that in the world, which that's great. So all of these teams are looking, to find their form, like they have been up there, at times, right? But I think it's worth mentioning that some of these other teams behind them that we might not talk about as much, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. For an example, in the Swedish team, Japalenio, there's a lot of players who have been rumored to go to Fnatic, NIP in the past, and they are probably going to, at least some of these players, like Freddy Frog has been pretty up there, Pleasant, DJL. For the Swedish guys, they are familiar faces who, if they actually start performing the level they have shown that they can, they could go to world-class teams eventually. Like, these are talented players. But then I also really, really like and look forward to watching Gambit youngsters, because they have probably the biggest CIS talent we had in a long time, Shiro. He is or he has been lighting it up for like the past year, and he's been rumored to go to all the CIS teams at this point. I think Navi being the latest when they picked up Perfecto. So I think that's a guy we'll see become a superstar later on because his numbers are off the charts.
Just to point out here about Shiro, even though he hasn't played the tier 1 teams, but he is consistently at 1.2 rating.
Yeah, he has insane numbers like all the time, and I really like how it's not that much that he pops off a game here and there, or he's showing that he's just super solid at that level. Like if you look at his games, for an example, let's say 1 month back, I mean, it's like 1.4, 1.7, 1.2, 1.2, 1.2, 1.3, 1.8. Like it's the numbers are crazy. Then of course you need to transition those numbers into becoming a world-class player playing on the tier 1 scene. But looking at how things look for the guy, he should be able to get there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the last 3 months of Shiro. I mean, kills per round is 0.79, which is crazy good. KD ratio 1.46. Deaths per round is below 1.6. I mean, this guy is averaging 1.27 rating in past 3 months. He's absolutely popping.
So I also want to just, since we are talking about HomeSweetHome here, I mean, the teams he usually plays are exactly like this level, right? Tier 2, Tier 3, right? And he should really be able to put those numbers up in a tournament like this. And I have not seen enough of the guy at all, but I've heard so much about him. I've seen the numbers and I've heard the rumors. Now I want to see that on the server.
Yeah, and so definitely one of the, if not the most interesting player of HomeSweetHome at the moment is Shiro from Gambit Youngsters. I think this is actually a very interesting point to bring up, and I think we should follow Shiro's performance on a weekly basis here and see what the guy can do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm, like I said, super excited to see him play, and I will definitely watch way more of him than I have in the past. But moving on as well, I want to mention some other things. I think the Sprout team is actually pretty interesting. Been seeing quite a few games with them the last month or so, and it's a pretty solid team on paper. You know, you have Speedy, Dennis, then you have their superstar would be Oscar. So
Yeah.
this is a team that, I don't know, they probably can't reach, a super high level, but if you made a few changes in there or put in some young talent in a couple of the spots, I mean, there's a lot to work on. Like Oscar on his best is a world-class player. Kind of curious to see how this team performs because I don't really think they are favored to, win or anything here, but on paper they are pretty.
Remind me, when Oscar was on his prime, it was during Mouse Sports time, right? When
I would say so, yeah.
yeah, when Sonny was still there. So when it was Sonny, Oscar, Chris J, Robs, and was it Woxic?
Honestly, I can't remember who was in that team at that point.
Well, I think I think I got 4 out of 5 right.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'm pretty sure.
And and I mean, Oscar was on 2017 and 2018. He was in HLTV top 20, like, and
yeah.
that's a big achievement for a player. So definitely talking about a world-class guy here. Sprout, I do see. I actually do agree. I think that team has potential for days. Faven and Disha are a bit of wild cards for me. Not familiar with those two. 3 other names very familiar with,
Same.
and we know what they can do. So interesting to follow what Faven and Disha can do. And Sprout should have a fighting chance to win these things.
I think so.
Yeah, for me, the one team I'm interested is Endpoint because we don't see that much UK talent in CS:GO, and this is UK team with Crucial and Robin. So I think it's interesting to see. This is pretty much the best UK has to offer. So I would love them to be able to pop off, but I don't think they have big chances here. But it's something interesting for me.
I just want to throw in, I've actually seen quite a few games with endpoints, and I think they are, getting better and better. I think Thomas is a player they are hyping up as, one of the top players
Yep.
in UK, and
Yep, definitely.
this team has done well. Now I remember a loss they had against North, but they still showed that they definitely can compete on this level, and they are a very, very solid team in this level of competition, and I think their chances are actually fairly good.
Endpoint is something I will be following closely.
Yeah, the only kind of, if we talk about UK talent, the only player that isn't here is Muya, you could say. But Muya is a tier 1 player at the moment, definitely.
He is very
when he has his playing pants on, he has very bad off days too.
Yeah.
Well, right now he has his pants off all the time because he's inactive.
Yes. And wait, he's been inactive for...
No, he played with Chaos, but then there was some visa issues, I think, or something of the like, so he can't play right now, as far as I understand. But there was some changes. Maybe they sorted it out. I saw some news about it. I actually don't remember exactly how it.
Smuya is... He's still in Chaos Esports Club and he's inactive. Since 20th. He was inactive from 20th until 30th of March. And...
So he's
now
active now?
No, he is not in a team. He's not part of Chaos EC. He doesn't have a team at the moment.
Alright.
Okay, well, here it is. Smuya moved to the Chaos bench due to visa issues. So let's see how that works out. But Smuya is a great player, but he's not in HomeSweetHome, so let's not be hung up on it. I think another just last team to mention something about, I think, is Nordavind. And I am kind of, I don't know, I think this team should be able to do better than they are. I think they're, it's a pretty solid lineup with players who have done quite well in the past, like Tensky, Chroman, Natasafix, and HS, have all been, higher up in the echelon around tier 2, even like close to tier 1 at times. And I don't see why this team couldn't do better than they are. But they are the hope of the Norwegians, so if the Norwegians are going to leave happy, I guess we gotta cheer for the Nordavind.
Yeah, I want to say a few words about Nordavind. I've been following them pretty closely, and they've been exploding in the last 2 years. They've been hiring a lot of new talent, both players and coaching staff. So they are pretty much the growing factory for Nordic countries, because they are doing very good job, not only in CS, but they are on Hearthstone and League of Legends also, and I think maybe new games this year also has been added to those 3, and they actually have defending world champion in Hearthstone in their roster too, and they are one of the best League of Legends teams in Nordic countries, and they are doing good job in CS:GO too. So they are the next big thing coming from Nordic countries, I think.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that, or for me, their player who maybe was their best player was Halser, who went to Dignitas, which is too bad, but I really think he's an underrated player. He's still 19 or something, and he's super, super good. The start in Dignitas, he was great, and now he can't play, obviously, but, they have already produced, in my opinion, one probably of the best Norwegian players we've seen, and he will definitely have a good future. Now he's hanging out with the old guard in Dignitas, but the retirement home doesn't last forever, so...
Okay,
Okay, one last team. We have to talk about it, because I think this is the favorite to win the whole fucking shit, okay? The whole shebang. It must be North. Like, this team has way too good players to not be considered the favorite.
Yeah.
I want to challenge North with Force.
Okay, I mean,
I want to challenge with Virtus Pro, but...
Yeah, I think all of those are pretty close, to be honest. But
No,
I
and
just think-
just listen. Okay, so
Yep.
if we look at EPL results for North, all right. So they won 2 against Navi. They get 2-0 by Force. They lose 1-2 to Fnatic. They win big, and then they lose 2-0 to Complexity. Force in EPL 2-1 against Complexity, 2-0 against North. Lost 1-2 to Navi, 1-2 to Fnatic. Wins big 2-0, 2-1, and then 2-0 loss against FaZe Clan. Force's results are better than North's. Force is
True.
higher in rankings, and Force is on better form. I do think that Force should be above North. Those two teams are definitely the favorites to win the entire shit, but I rate Force higher than North at the moment.
Yeah, you're actually kind of right on that point. I think.
I know.
I'm gonna agree with you for once. Yeah, Force. Actually, I kind of forgot how well they did in ESL Pro League because they looked super good. Actually, they weren't even far from being at the.
Force looked like really good in some days and horrible in some days.
That's true as well. That is definitely true. The decider game actually to the playoffs in or the next stage in ESL Pro League, they played FaZe and they got absolutely fucking. I remember that.
Yeah, Force gave them a free pass to second round.
Well, let's put it like this. I think it's super close, but definitely, I do think that like Big has to be in the discussion to be favored as well. I think they are
That's
pretty.
true.
I don't know. There's actually quite a few teams. I guess I have a top 4 kind of thing going on with Virtus Pro, North, Force, and Big.
Well, yeah. I think big might be. I don't know. Well, their results. I mean, when you look at big, they won Fnatic, they won Navi. There's the Complexity, North, and Force in EPL. So Fnatic, okay, Fnatic, no, big North, Force, or well, big Force North. Maybe in that. I don't know. In a way, I want to put Force in front of big, and then between big and North, it's a bit.
It's actually really funny that if we all agree, those 4 are at least favored. So 3 of them were in the same ESL Pro League group.
Yeah, and
yeah.
VP was in a group of death. So you
Yeah.
can't, because I think if Virtus Pro was playing against North Force or Big, it would have much better scoreline than it has.
That is probably very, very true. If you put Virtus Pro in the boots of Force, Complexity, North, or Big in Group B, they would have had great shot at going through. That is absolutely.
Yeah. So when we're looking at VP's results from EPL, losing 2-0 to FaZe, Mousesports, and G2, then winning 2-1 against OG and 2-0 against Tyloo. So yes, in all of the 4 groups, we have one quite clear favorite.
Yeah.
So Group A, we have Big. Group B, would it be Endpoint then?
I don't really know. I think this group is super close to call beforehand. I've seen quite a lot about from Skate or whatever you call them, and I go, the last month or so.
Yeah.
Honestly, fucking hell, it's almost a coin toss to me. I can't call it either way there.
Group C. Yeah, Mika?
Yeah, we can talk about Group B tomorrow because they're playing tomorrow, so we can take a closer look at those teams.
Definitely.
Yeah. Then Group C, we have North is the favorite. Then we have Sprout and Yapaleno that can do something. I would assume that Movistar Raiders is the bottom feeder here.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure actually, because Movistar Raiders had some pretty decent results like in the beginning of the year, I think. But I haven't seen anything from them since. I really can't speak on.
The thing is that they lost against ENCE, but that doesn't really count because ENCE is not a good team anymore. So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like this, right? And I think this is something that is true for the whole HomeSweetHome thing. These teams are very volatile. These are the types of teams that can go from 1 month being amazing to being like fucking DMG level next month. It's crazy. They are so up and down. Like many of these teams, I do give credit to the top 4 teams we mentioned to be better than the average here. But then I'm 100% certain that we'll see, one or two random teams, like let's say Japalenio or Gambit Youngsters or Endpoint, have the time of their life and dominate. I'm absolutely certain we'll see at least a few of those. Yeah. So this is super hard to call, but we can move on to Group D.
The Group D is total group of death.
I'd say, Group D is the group of death. You have Force, you have Gambit Youngsters, you have VP, and then Nordavind as kind of the wild card even. So we have 3 CIS teams that all have very high potential. All of these teams are young, pretty much. All of them have a lot of potential. And then you have Nordavind, who's there kind of surrounded by Russians and trying to get out of it in one way or another.
The thing is, I'm kind of curious how the groups got to be like this, honestly, because Group D is actually, I don't know. It's like almost the best teams are in Group D and the worst ones or something are in Group B. I don't know, this is really strange, but Group D is a bloodbath.
Yeah, I would say if any Group D teams got swapped to Group B, it would be the favorite of that group.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't know exactly how good Gambit Youngsters are nowadays. I just know they had a pretty good peak earlier, but I definitely agree on the 3 others, because I at least trust Force, Nordavind, and Virtus Pro way more than Gambit Youngsters, but most definitely, very interesting groups.
Yeah, and the first match will be VP against Gambit Youngsters. That will be a very interesting game.
All right, let me ask you guys then. How about this week 1? Who's gonna be in the final, and what's gonna be the end score?
That's a tough one.
I can go. I say it's Force and North will take it 2-1.
Yeah, now I have to start thinking myself as well.
I'll say that.
Is it possible even? Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too. If my prediction would be possible, but I don't know exactly.
I don't know how the playoff bracket is built.
Okay.
Well, I assume everybody who wins the group are in one quarterfinal against another.
Yeah, of course, but
then which side? But
I don't know how the group winners are placed in there. It's like the first semi-finals is like Group A against Group B. Because if that's the case, then Big gonna be in the final instead of North.
Yeah, because I'm gonna say Big and North. No, I'm gonna say, okay, fuck North. I'm gonna go Virtus Pro and Big. That's the final.
Yeah, it's Force and Big for me. Force and Big for me.
I got something for you here. So Big is gonna pick Inferno, and they can't lose Inferno because they only have one map, They suck on all the other ones. So it's gonna be a 2-1, of course, to Virtus Pro. That's the truth.
I don't know what the final is going to be, but I think week 1 is going to be won by Force.
Okay. That's more than fair. I really think they...
If the playoff bracket is built like I think it will be, it's Group A or Group B winner against Force. If Force is the if there's no upsets, I think it's gonna be Group A or Group B winner against Force. But I don't know.
Yeah.
They might randomly seed the playoff bracket too, and not use the automatic completion.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Should we talk a little bit about LCS before we close out the series?
Yeah, a few words. Nothing special here because the LCS playoff started Saturday. We saw EG against Flycast Saturday and Cloud9 against 100 Thieves at Sunday, and the Sunday's matches were like speed run of League of Legends. I think it was second fastest best of 5 series ever played in LCS. So that's that. Nothing much to say about Cloud9's victory. They were dominant as we predicted. And EG Flycast, we predicted EG victory, and then it was not as dominant, but yeah, dominant victory altogether. So yeah, today we will see first losers bracket. Actually, I'm not sure which one. I think it's 100 Thieves TSM today.
No, today it's going to be FlyQuest against Golden Guardians.
Okay, well, and another one is tomorrow. So
yeah.
So I think
100 Thieves in TSM.
Yeah, I think TSM is gonna be massive favorite against 100 Thieves, especially the form 100 Thieves show in Sunday. So TSM will be massive favorite there, and Flycast against Golden Guardians. I said before, whoever will face the GG. It will be pretty much free victory because Golden Guardians are lucky to even be in the playoffs. They are in playoffs because Dignitas and Team Liquid underperformed heavily in this season. So I think
I'm actually very curious. I was looking at this a little bit, and I was. I've been following the LCS, a fair bit, and I was just kind of stunned because I was like, Golden Guardians, what the hell are they doing in the playoff? Weren't they supposed to be like a bottom feeder kind of material?
Yeah, they're supposed to be. And they
like I thought it was like kind of a joke, a meme or something in the community.
Yeah, definitely was. And because
that's cool.
Yeah, because before the season started, if someone thought that some player decision or roster decision is wrong, they said at least it's not as bad as Golden Guardians. That was the meme before the season started, and now they're in playoffs. Right.
Well, they shut up the haters again.
Yeah, and they played good. They won their game in tiebreakers, so they deserve to win. They deserve to beat here. So, but yeah,
that was pretty cool actually. What do you think about their chances against FlyQuest?
Yeah, I think there's no chance. FlyQuest is. I'm not loving the FlyQuest team also, but I think it's way better than the Golden
I was
Guardians.
just a bit curious because. I mean, the odds are kind of one-sided, but they are not like, with nothing extreme like we've seen before when we talked about some of the league games. I think they are around 145 or so, 1.5 on FlyQuest. But, well, that sounds pretty interesting to me, maybe as a betting material.
Yeah, of course, both of these like series are interesting because like both TSM and Golden Guardians are having good days and bad days, and that's why they are in a lower bracket. And there is possibility that something happens and they just get run over. But yeah, in prediction wise, TSM and FlyQuest are the I think massive favorites here, but there is chance for upset in both of these because both TSM and FlyQuest are teams that has been having the off days or even off weeks in the regular season.
No, I don't have much to say. As you know, it's almost sad to mention that my League of Legends knowledge is very limited and I haven't had time to follow. There's just too much going on for me to able to get on track with everything. I do want to take the time and watch some of these playoff games to be able to bring something more to the table. But luckily I've been able to listen to what you guys have had to say about these things and kind of have some sort of understanding on what's going on. But yeah, I'm actually trying to be able, if not today, then I really want to see the Cloud9 and EG matchup because it seems on paper at least like a very good League of Legends game.
Yeah, it should be on Saturday.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, sure.
So with that said, I think it's time to wrap this up and continue tomorrow.
Sounds good to me. There was a lot to discuss, so Hey, we did well.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very very excited to switch to HomeSweetHome stream after this.
Oh yes, definitely. Spirit.
Yeah,
Wait,
and also,
did it end?
yeah.
Spirit got smashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite one-sided and very surprising. I mean, Spirit were a massive favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in
Interesting.
other topic, I will be playing Valorant today also because I got the beta access. So maybe I can share some opinions about that tomorrow because I think it has a possibility to be the next big esports game also. So I
I'm
will
actually
be
looking forward to
sharing
it.
some opinions tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. I was already really hyped actually when they announced it. So it seems cool. I kind of like it personally. How, I mean, of course I don't know anything. I haven't played it, and maybe it will turn out shit. I have no idea, but it seems kind of cool with the sort of in between because Overwatch is too much for me. CS:GO, I love it, but something in between could still work for me
Yeah,
personally. So
I,
it's
I,
gonna be
I'm,
very interesting.
I'm actually very, very interested about this because I love that it has the shooting mechanics as a main way to kill other people, but it still has the classes to like support the shooting mechanics, and I'm very interested to see how it affects on gameplay because I'm not big fan of CS:GO and I'm not big fan of Overwatch, but I play both and I actually enjoy both. Even if I don't use that many hours with them, but I think this might be something I would be interested to play. And actually, I would be very interested to see these games. I can't wait for first esports tournaments to come so I can watch the people who actually know how to play this game to play it.
Perfect. I'm pretty sure we will talk more about Valorant in the near future as
Yep.
soon as we have. Well, you got the beta key. Hopefully, we get ours too soon, so
Yep.
we can start grinding up and maybe even show some gameplay if
Yep.
it's okay for Valorant. But with
Yep.
that said, we will be back tomorrow at the same time, same faces, same well, different stories. But
Yep.
yes, thank you very much, and we will see you tomorrow.
Yep.
All
See
right,
ya.
perfect. See you.